Hey y'all, Shane has a record haul for you. I went to a yoga class for an hour. He dropped me off and then went picking for albums. And he has a little haul for you guys. So I'm going to flip the camera around and let him do his thing. I just got done eating some ham and cheese, but let me flip this around so he can do his thing. And don't worry about my dirty kitchen. It's fine. We'll take care of it. Hang on. And go.
Action.
Action.
Okay, so kind of got thrown into this, so I'm just gonna start from the top, as one might. So kind of a cool little haul. I have a little honey hole locally that I think I'm the only one to like ever look at albums there. It's weird. It's weird, but I have gotten some really good buys there on cool stuff. And tonight, dropped Amy off for yoga class, and I was 1 hour yoga class, and I'm like, okay, well I'm gonna buzz and go to these two stores. And sure enough, I'm glad I did. So we didn't get a lot, maybe 6, 7, 8, something like that. I got a lot of albums together today. I was off today, and so I got a bunch of albums together that I'm going to take to one of the record stores tomorrow, and I'm going to try to sell them. If they give me my money for them, then I'll go ahead and sell them. If they don't, I'll just go ahead and hold on to them, and I'll sell them online or something. But some of these I'm going to go ahead and throw in there with that bunch because I think they'll kind of be a little kicker. Anyway, so the first thing is I did get a little cassette tape today. Mr. Robert Plant, Now and Zen. If you've watched any of my videos before, you know I'm a Led Zeppelin guy. Or if you've watched me and Amy, you know I'm a Led Zeppelin guy, and she is not. But I had this tape in high school. I bought this cassette tape in high school. Not this one, of course. But Robert Plant, Now and Zen. So I saw this. It was less than $1. So pick that up. I'm excited to have that. Next one, Ronnie Milsap. It was 49 cents. Really didn't need this, but there's no Getting Over Me is on there.
We saw him in concert.
We saw Ronnie Milsap maybe a year ago, something like that. I don't recognize any of these other songs. I wouldn't have missed it for the world, as that song goes. So there's a couple songs on here. This is from 1981, Ron Milsap. The next one, again, I think we might already have that Ronnie Milsap album. I know we have this Alabama album, but it was 49 cents, and I'm like, man, 49 cents. Tennessee River's on this. Getting Over You is on this.
Somebody put their name on it.
That's old Jackie Winningham.
You know Jackie.
Jackie Winningham, if you're out there, we got your album. I'll return it to you if that's you.
You know Jackie.
Oh, Jackie Winningham. You got some nice writing, some nice cursive.
Got our own little font.
Yeah. Now this is from, I don't know, my eyes are not what they used to be. I can't see. 1980. So Jackie, from 1980, give us a call. We got your album. This one I messed up on. This was 49 cents. I've seen this before and not really paid much attention to it, and I'm just like, I think Jethro Tull has an album that has this similar album cover. So that's what made me pick it up, because it was 49 cents. And again, I'm taking a bunch of albums in tomorrow, and I'm like, well, if it's 49 cents and they'll buy it for a couple bucks, then I'll buy it. But anyway, I spun it over and I look, and the second song is No Reply by Lennon and McCartney. I'm like, oh, okay. Third song, I'll Be Back by Lennon and McCartney. Drive My Car by Lennon and McCartney. So I'm at this point, I'm kind of like, oh, is this like some kind of weird Beatles one-off?
Who's Lennon McCartney?
What?
Lennon?
Baby, who's Lennon and McCartney?
Don't make me feel dumb.
They're the Beatles. John Lennon, Paul McCartney. John Lennon.
Oh, it's both of them together.
Yeah.
I was thinking of some kid with that name.
Oh, okay. Lennon and McCartney. I said Lennon and McCartney.
Oh, I thought you said Lennon McCartney.
Yeah, I was like, what?
I know Lennon and McCartney.
Right.
I thought it was
Right.
another person.
Lennon and McCartney. Lennon and McCartney, not Lennon McCartney.
It's fine. Don't worry
It's
about
fine.
it. Don't worry about it.
Anyway, so the good news is I paid 49 cents for it, but this is they tricked you back in the old days, and the name of the band, if you look here, performed by Stars On. So the name of the little band that they threw together to do these songs is dubbed Stars On. So in other words, this is people like you and me singing these songs. Stars On.
Those are those little factoids that people love about your videos.
The
Because nobody else would have caught them.
The Stars On Band.
Good job, lover.
Sings every day from Ticket to Ride by the Beatles to Boogie Nights by Heatwave. Is that Heatwave, Boogie Nights? Funky Town. See, I should have looked on over here, but I got carried away with the Lennon McCartney.
Me too.
So anyway, 49 cents out the... I should have bought a piece of gum. Okay, another compilation album. Now again, when things cost 49 cents, you kind of just do it. I like this filming better because I can't see the screen, and so I'm looking at the cameras.
Oh, you want me to fix that?
No, I like it better because I'm looking
like
at the
it better?
camera. Yeah.
I can't hear you tonight.
So anyway, as the 49 cents keeps on, here's a Dimensions. And if you ever watched a little TV back in around 1981, it's by Ktel. So this is probably off the television. Now this is just a compilation album. I knew it was, but it's got some good songs on it. And this is one of those that's fun just to, hey, we'll just put the album on because it plays a bunch of different songs. Queen of Hearts by Juice Newton. Jesse's Girl by Rick Springfield.
By who?
Rick Springfield.
I think it said William Springfield.
It's by William
I
Springfield.
can hear you through the crunch of my celery.
Jesse's Girl by William Springfield. Rick's like, you know how there's like Mary Trump and she always comments about Donald Trump? That's William Springfield.
I'm crunching celery, so I can't hear him.
So I have to repeat everything.
Right. I'll shut up.
The Stroke by Billy Squier. Love that song. Fire and Ice by Pat Benatar. My favorite Pat Benatar song. Fire and Ice. I Love You by Climax Blues Band. Great song, by the way. Really Want to Know You by Gary Wright. Gary Wright just passed away not too long ago. Boys from New York City by the Manhattan Transfer. Side 2, You Make My Dreams by Mr. Daryl Hall and John Oates. Mm-hmm. Side 2, also second song, The Breakup Song by the Greg Kihn Band. Cool Love by Pablo Cruz. The One That You Love by Air Supply. We also saw Air Supply concert.
One of the best concerts I ever saw.
Time by Alan Parsons Project. What a great song that is, huh? Oh, wait. This also has the Stars On Medley by the Stars On Band. The Stars On Band. They're also on this album.
Oh my God.
But all these are done by the other artists, though. And Elvira by the Oak Ridge Boys.
Elvira.
This was distributed by Ktel International back in 1981.
My Elvira 45 got played on repeat for years.
I'm not surprised by that. I'm surprised.
You're welcome that I gave you a love for country, especially 90s. You're welcome.
I don't have a love for 90s country.
Yeah, you do.
So moving onwards and upwards. Now we're slowly getting into more interesting, although kind of interesting.
No mas.
But So on these next two albums, I just want to say that, I think I've mentioned before, if I find something and I have a little bit of a sixth sense for when to buy stuff, even if I don't know it, and I'll look at things like, okay, I bought a record the other day because it was on the IRS. I didn't recognize it, but it was on the IRS label. Well, I know that early IRS stuff is stuff that I really like. It's early, like, you guys know that I like synth pop and new wave and stuff like that. So that early IRS, I think the Go-Go's were on IRS, maybe. Anyway, if I see something on IRS, I don't recognize it, I'll usually buy it. If I see something that's on a Sire label that's from late 70s, early 80s, I usually buy it. Talking Heads were on Sire, Madonna was on Sire. And then a lot of times you'll get some context clues just by looking at wow, and I just noticed something here. Just by looking at like who produced the album, who are the musicians, maybe the engineer, things like that I'll look at. That'll kind of give me some indication. And I just noticed special thanks to Brian Eno. So there's a little indicator right there that Brian Eno had something to do with this band. Anyway, I saw this. I thought it was kind of interesting. It's a promo copy. You can see that stamp there, which usually helps the value a little bit. And it is from 1989. So again, as we go from the 80s, there was a lot of vinyl being produced in the early, 70s. It was tons of vinyl being produced and a little bit of 8-track stuff. And we got into the 80s and still a lot of vinyl. And then gradually in the early to mid 80s, we moved to cassettes. And then as we got closer and closer towards 1990, then you started seeing cassettes and CDs. And albums nobody was buying albums anymore because people like me and Amy, if you were our age, you started buying cassettes and CDs, and nobody bought albums anymore. So this is from 1989. So that's also interesting to me because it's a press around that time when there wasn't a lot of vinyl being produced. So I did look up the value on this, and this is Hugo Largo Metal, I believe is the name. Yes, Hugo Largo Metal is the name of the album. And this has a pretty healthy little amount of value to it. $10 to $15 is kind of what I saw. So I bought this for I think I paid $2.99 for this. It was just kind of a hunch. So bought that. Same thing here. Mark Egan and Danny Gottlieb, those are both fairly well-known musicians. This is from 1988. It's also a promo copy. These are from BMG. I'm probably just rattling on and on and on. Anyway, another album I just kind of took a chance on and looking up value. It's same thing, kind of around $10. So yeah, I like to listen to these and discover new music. And I will definitely listen to these two albums here probably in the next couple days. Okay, so now getting to the best stuff. I've got these last 4 albums, and I'll tell you what I paid for each of them. The first one, Janet Jackson, Rhythm Nation. You guys know it. If you don't know this album, you were living under a rock in the 80s. But another album, we have the Janet Jackson, I can't remember the name of the album. It's a red cover, but I don't see this out in the wild. I don't know that I've ever seen a copy of it. Come across a copy of it tonight for $2.99. Rhythm Nation, so the songs on this you recognize: Rhythm Nation, Miss You Much, Escapade, Black Cat. So great album. That will go in the collection. That will not be going to be sold tomorrow. So I was excited about that. The first album I found in this bunch is this, Mr. Michael Jackson, Off the Wall. It was $5.99. I had this album years ago, and then one day it just disappeared. I haven't had it since, largely because people, you're gonna have a hard time finding this album under $15, and most are going for the $20 range right now. So this one is in very, very good condition. The vinyl's in very, very good condition. It is the gatefold, and it was $5.99. So when I saw that, I was like, woo! I actually probably like this album a little bit better than Thriller. And you can tell that, believe it or not, that is Michael Jackson right there. That's what he looked like at one point in time in his life. So I found that first. I think I found Janet Jackson last. Moving on, the last two albums. This one, Evangelist, or Evangelist, I'm not sure how you pronounce it. I recognize the band. I don't know anything about them. This album was $2.99, but it's also sealed. It's sealed. It's from 1988. So I kind of just bought this one on a hunch as well. I was like, $2.99. It's sealed. I recognize Evangelist, but I couldn't tell you anything. So we get home tonight, and I always just kind of pull up values. I kind of, when I get home, I'll pull up stuff and see what I can find out. Well, it's going anywhere from 50, 60 bucks up. Now that's for unsealed copies. There is a sealed copy on eBay that's listed for $160. So I'm going to take this tomorrow as kind of a kicker to the record store to hopefully get the money that I'm looking for out of it. But that's it. And if they don't give me the money for this that I'm wanting, we'll open it and we'll play it. But anyway, that was a great find. The find of the night, believe it or not, that's not it. The find of the night was, now let me take a step back. Monetarily, that was probably the find of the night. But the find of the night, if we're not talking about money, is probably this young man here. Found this album. What did I say the name of it was? Something sexy. Something sexy. Love Sexy is the name of the album. By one Prince. I don't remember his whole name. Prince.
Nobody does. It's just Prince.
It's Prince. Not the artist formerly. This was the artist before he was previous to being formerly known as Prince. So this is Prince, the artist previous to being formerly known as the artist known as Prince. Did I say that right? I think I did.
If they're Gen X, you did.
So, anyway, this cover was banned back in 1988 when this was released because he's naked, if you notice. Now, there's nothing showing in the area that you see here, but this was a banned album cover. So they only produced this album for so long, and I think it was only produced through the record club. It's stamped up here, BMG. Even though it was 1988, you will see there is no UPC symbol anywhere to be found on it, like this, even though that was on all records back in 1988. So, this is not sealed, but it's still in the shrink. The shrink is in excellent condition. This will bring pretty good money. The place I'm going to tomorrow has a wall with a lot of collectible stuff that they'll sell anywhere from $40 to $200 and $300 and $400 and $500. They have a big wall full of stuff. My guess is this will probably go on the wall if they pay me for it. We've got a. Are you okay?
I have a question.
We have a question.
I'm back here with my hand up.
Yes.
What does it mean if there's no UPC?
It doesn't mean anything necessarily.
There's no barcode.
There's no barcode. They started putting barcodes on that, depending on the label, depending on the record company. They started putting barcodes on albums in late 1979 through 81 is when they started putting barcodes on them. Well, the fact that this doesn't have a barcode and it was 1988, so it's BMG. You remember, buy 13 albums for 1 cent. So there are some albums that were only offered through those record clubs. Van Halen, For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge. That album was that in vinyl format, not tape, not CD. That was offered through the mass markets. But in vinyl format, you could only buy that album through BMG Record Club. So as a result, that album brings $150, give or take, on the market. 130, 150, 180, 200. So I think this album was not because it was a band album cover. You could only get it through the record club. And so, again, that just makes it a little more, there's less pressings. It just makes it a little more valuable, a little more desirable, because you couldn't just go out and buy it on the free market.
Well, I know you've talked about it before, but I forgot.
Yeah. So, anyway, that's it. Pretty cool. Total tonight, I spent like $16. I probably have.
Man, that'd be cool if you could get
He's a kid.
$160 for that.
Well, I won't get $160 tomorrow.
Be real fun.
But if I could get $50 for it tomorrow, I'm happy.
That's what happens when you buy albums from people who don't know what they're selling.
Yeah, a lot of times, and you got to rely on that. You got to rely on, you know, and there's plenty of stuff that we sell that we probably, if we knew what we could have got for it, you know, I've sold albums before. I had a copy of, I have a horror story. This is terrible. It still makes me queasy to this day. It was like 4 years ago, and I had a copy of Tori Amos, Boys for Pele, I think. Boys from Pele, Boys for Pele. One of the two. Tori Amos. I had the vinyls from like 1985, or 1995, 1994, 1995. It was when I had my little record booth. I was up there restocking and put that up there. I put it in there for like $12. I didn't care about Tori Amos. Didn't care. I stuck it in there. Well, a guy comes in and he's looking through my stuff, and I just happen to be doing some other stuff, and I see him. I never even looked at the vinyl. He pulls the vinyl out, and it's clear. It's clear vinyl. Well, my heart kind of sunk a little bit, because automatically I knew what was happening.
You were that kid who didn't know what you had.
I didn't know what I had. But I had to honor it. Got home later on and looked it up. That album was bringing over $100. Tori Amos, Boys for Pele. There's another album that I had, and I think I got them both at the same time. Rush, Roll the Bones. This makes me sick to this day. Rush, Roll the Bones. I kept it, had it back here, listened to it a couple times. I was like, man, I need to put some stuff in the booth. Let me go through, kind of like I did today. Let me go through, let me find my duplicates. Let me pull out some stuff that I really don't care about, I'm not listening to. I pulled that Rush, Roll the Bones. Put it in the booth for like $15, $20. Well, that album brings about $175. Yeah. So those are two times where
It's going to happen, though.
Took it on the old noggin, if you will. So anyway.
So I had somebody ask me, if you're starting out in vinyl, I think it was their daughter or granddaughter, and they're just getting into vinyl. Mm-hmm. You know, these kids are coming, you know, they're wanting to get into it. Where do they shop? How do they shop? What do they look for? I know that's a lot of questions, but if you're trying to, your child or your grandchild expresses interest in starting vinyl collection, where do they start?
Great question, and I've thought about this a lot, and it's real simple. Go to the dollar bins. Go to the record stores, go to the flea markets. They're out there. The dollar bins are out there. And find, and if you're old enough, you'll know from the 70s, find some Billy Joel, find some Elton John, find some Bob Seger, find some Supertramp, find some Steely Dan.
Find some Michael, find some Janet.
Well, you're not going to find Janet for that price. You're not even going to find Michael for that. I'm talking dollar. I'm talking $1, $2, $3 albums where you can get a good 20 or 30 albums without spending a fortune. And it's all great music. That's why I say, they produced a ton of Billy Joel. Michael's too. Everybody wants Michael, but like Billy Squier, Pat Benatar, even that's starting to get into the 80s. Men at Work, Jay Giles Band. Just grab a handful, and there'll even be a few like newer stuff. The kids now they'll have. Oh gosh, I don't know who all the bands are now, but they'll have 3 or 4 of those newer albums that they paid $20 for, and then they'll have 10 of your dollar bin stuff.
So dollar bins. Dollar bins,
absolutely, because you can buy a lot of music for cheap, and if just like this stuff, I'll spend $1.
And you're learning.
You're learning. I'll spend $1, and sometimes you're gonna get lucky. Wow,
You've got some 49.59 cents in there.
Right, exactly. So that's how I would recommend anybody start. There's so much good music from the 70s.
And get what you like.
And even you don't even know what you like at that age. That's why I say you start. What do you start with? You start at the cornerstones: Seeger, Supertramp, Journey, Foreigner. You start with those. If you go to the 70s. Find a cheap Beatles album, if you can find a cheap Zeppelin album. And that's when you'll start figuring out what you like. You'll figure it out real quick. I like this, I don't like that, I like this, I don't like that. But start out cheap. Start cheap. Don't spend a bunch
cheap
of money.
Cheap dollar bins.
Don't spend a lot of money out of the gate. Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Is that it?
That's it. I was going to say something. Oh, I know what I was going to say. So I'm always looking. I've got a One Direction album in there that I'm taking tomorrow. Why in the world would I have a One Direction album? Well, I went down to see Riley one day, and we go into a Goodwill, and I see this One Direction album for $2.99. Well, I've heard of One Direction. I didn't know Harry Styles was in One Direction. You knew Harry Styles. You knew that?
I just learned it.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Anyway, I saw a One Direction album. I'm like, I'm going to buy this for $2.99 because at some point somebody wants a One Direction album.
And Harry's huge now.
And Harry Styles is huge now.
So Riley knows who he is.
Yeah.
Before she knows who One Direction is.
No, I think she knew who One Direction.
Did she know?
Yeah,
well,
because
she was raised by you.
She's young. Well, I don't know who One Direction is.
No, but we've had her around music.
Yeah, I just knew they were a boy band, But I saw a boy band that I've heard of. One Direction. I'm gonna buy it. No, I haven't listened to it, but when I went through my records today, I was like, I'm taking that One Direction album, and you know what? They'll buy it because they know somebody will buy it. Mm-hmm. So it's a good album just to have my bunch. They will buy these 2 albums. They will buy those 2 albums. And look at that. These are albums. Look how clean that is.
Yeah, they're pretty mint.
Now, mind you, these are 35 years old.
That's crazy. 35
years old, those albums are. Golly. How does something make it 35 years and never get opened? Isn't that crazy? All right, that's it. Signing off.
We love you. Lord loves you more. See you in the next video.
Next video.